This episode is brought to you by the following patrons: Andrew, Sunzi, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Gorotica, Vance, Boezy, Jeremy, Ali, Mr. Ragebomb, Libby, Wes, Dreskel, Aaron, Kristen, Tia, Lauren, Jonathan, Kate, Alex, Isaac, and Karoon. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved and you're listened to and you're a valuable member of this awesome horror virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group where we open Hell Cubes daily.
Hellraiser II, Hellbound. Title makes more sense after I watched it.
Of course.
I didn't think they were going to go to hell. And then when they did, I was like, bold choice.
It's called Hellraiser, Mikey.
They didn't go to hell in the first one.
Technically, they did at one point.
Did they?
Who knows? That was like 2 years ago.
Nothing makes sense.
I wasn't even on the show when you guys did the first one.
one.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, you all made me watch Hellbound,
Hellraiser
2. So was this the first time either of you had seen this movie?
Correct.
Yes.
It is the first time I saw it as well. So we were all horror virgins for this movie. Paige, you regrettably couldn't join us for the Hellraiser 1 episode because
That's true.
you were not a host at that point.
I was not.
Regrettably, right, Paige?
Ooh, I will say, Todd, I don't hate the first Hellraiser. Personally, I don't love it, but I also don't hate it the way that you do, Todd.
I don't necessarily hate the movie. I just hate the gibberish that the Cinnabons say the entire movie. Like, and it continues into this movie.
cheese frosting.
Like, what?
Gibberish is what describes this film. I had
Yes.
no
Yes.
fucking clue what happened from credits to credits.
There's no causality
I have no
for
idea.
anything going on. And
Not a clue.
I honestly think because we do this podcast and I know I'm going to have to watch the other 8 they've made or whatever, however many they have at this point,
So excited.
I am just going to lean into they know they're bad and they're doing this as a joke. And it makes me feel better talking about it. But when I watched it, I was livid. I was so mad.
Why were you mad? I was like, the first half had me, and then the second half, I was like, we've gone over a threshold where I'm now enjoying this.
Well, that's sort of what I mean.
I texted y'all on the group text. I was like, this film feels like the David S. Pumpkin skit from Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
She
But a
walks
movie,
around,
but a
and then it's
movie.
like, this is a version of hell, and you're like, oh, okay.
and the
You-
Cenobites are
part of it.
of it.
But like, I turned it on. I was like, I hope it doesn't lean heavily in the first one because I don't really remember what happened except for like the Red Skull and then like his stepmom and like
Red Skull.
and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden they were like, this is direct continuation of the first film. And I was like, man,
Yeah,
oh,
oof,
that's not great.
okay.
But then it showed me the first like 20 minutes of the first one.
Yeah, it definitely sums up the entire first one for you.
I was very confused by the psychiatrist's
Yes.
motivations the whole time.
What were they? Who knows? What is a motivation?
It never explains anything in this movie.
He was trying to get into hell the whole time, and like he had other Hellraiser objects and had a woman who just did puzzles.
He had multiple boxes, and had kidnapped a girl to do puzzles. Here's the problem with this one.
The problem, like there's one.
It's an overarching,
Okay.
all-encompassing problem, Todd.
Okay.
The first Hellraiser, pretentious, sure, a little bit, yes, but you've got a clear through line of like, this guy sold his soul to the devil and now he has to kill enough people to get skin so he can bone this lady. I get that. I understand that as a plot. I can follow motivations. It's weird, but I'm here for it, right?
Yeah.
This movie treats it as if it's like, yeah, you guys know, right? And then just
Yes.
goes with it. And you're like, no, we don't know. I have no idea.
I have a question for both of you because I don't remember it from the first film. But like she's like, you got to burn the mattress because the mattress, she died on the mattress. She can come through the mattress. I was like, I think it's the puzzle box. I was like, girl, I think the puzzle box is where they come from.
Okay, no, I got that because in the first one, the thing that like activates him is the blood on the floor. So it's almost like wherever you puzzle box out into hell and die, that spot and your blood within it can get activated by new blood, and that's what starts to bring you back.
Oof, gotta watch out for that new blood.
New blood.
I do feel like this movie is probably 10 times better than the original for me, just because...
It's a funner watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is more fun to watch than the first Hellraiser, but for me, in my opinion, that is like the easiest movie to beat in a which is fun to watch contest. Like,
I do think the story makes more sense than the first one.
it does.
That's true. But like, we got to let that go.
Yeah.
We got to get to the important questions. What version of hell would you go to?
Oh,
I
man.
choose
Hook orgy?
squiggly hook orgy.
I'm going to choose sexy morgue.
Oh, where they just came in and out of the things?
Yeah, just like...
Okay, so since you guys both took the two options that are displayed in this movie, I guess I'll just freelance make one up off the top of my head. And I would say, I don't know, somewhere Peter Cetera is playing guitar solos on an acoustic guitar
No,
the
Todd,
entire
there was
time.
other stuff.
No, you could choose the needle blowjob box.
Yeah.
And what percentage blowjob to needle are we talking? Because like there's concessions that could be made.
It seemed like it was approximately 20% blowjob and 80% needle.
If you flip that, we might could come to terms.
Okay, I'll try with you, Todd. I'll take doing counseling with a worm dick through my head and spikes coming out of my hands that create different objects.
Dude, that worm like Paco jetted his brain.
It did.
I was like,
Yeah.
This is a smoothie that I'm not excited about.
There's no way you can convince me that Spencer's gifts didn't gain sentience and start using ChatGPT to write this script. Like that's what it feels like to me.
All I'm going to say is I'm going to stay away from Rubik's Cubes too, just to be safe.
I wouldn't touch a Rubik's Cube.
This is why when I tell a girl I don't play games, I'm like, have you ever seen Hellraiser?
I don't fuck around. I don't understand anything from this movie, and I think that's why I like it more than the original one, which again, super low bar to clear. But I think it's because, especially towards the end, when like I literally wrote in my notes, "Holy stop motion Batman."
Oh yeah.
Like from that point on, it becomes a Mikey movie.
Yeah.
And you can sort of lean into it some.
Yeah.
But the first 45, no, it's probably more like first hour and 10. It's just so serious about itself.
It's serious, but also still makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
They don't show it, and they don't explain anything.
No, none of it.
I do love this film's commitment to you fucking figure it out.
Yeah,
Like,
this movie is a
film
puzzle box.
is a puzzle.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
a puzzle.
Honestly, if you get Hellraiser 2, if you've solved that puzzle, that's the portal to hell.
Thank God you guys get to see part of my job, which is if you are a witness to a violent crime, we just lock you away in an asylum forever without even talking to you.
Oh, I subscribed to a choose your own adventure watching experience of this film where, because it doesn't explain anything to you, I just started filling in the blanks in my brain.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm right or wrong. And then I tried to Google to see if it was a difference between book and movie. And I found some stuff in Fun Facts that will clear up some of the confusion. But the overall answer to why is this movie so batshit insane and confusing is loss of funding and some actors decided they didn't want to be in it from the original. Like, that's basically what happened.
Okay.
The dude, Red Skull, was he different?
No, Frank's in it. It's her dad, the actor who played her father in the first one, wouldn't be in it. So
He was like, no, I saw the first one. I'm good. Thank you so much.
Because the plot was she was trying to get him out of hell, right?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that in the beginning of the movie, and I was like, oh, this is like Chekhov's Save Dad from Hell. And no, it's not at all.
And then she gets to hell, and Pinhead's like, nah.
So I can explain that actually.
Okay.
And that's because in the original script, they had written a full script, written it with the dad in it, right? And in the original script, the dad was there with Frank in hell.
Ooh.
And they were conjoined in hell.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he has to cut himself off of his brother for them to fight it out. And he has a heart attack on his way out of hell, but then they're able to get him out. And in the end, he leaves the asylum with Kirsty, not Tiffany. That was supposed to be what the movie was, that she did actually go and save her dad. except that the actor who played her dad was just like, nah. And I think they knew already that they were going to reuse a lot of footage from the first one. So it's not like you could just randomly recast, I guess, if you're going to play a Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 situation.
Yeah, because you do see her dad in this, right? Because
you do in the flashbacks, you see her dad.
Yeah.
And so when he said he wasn't going to do it, they hastily rewrote the film. It was literally weeks before shooting.
that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, they lost a ton of funding. So like a bunch of things and scenes that they were going to do just got instantly cut, which I think is part of why we get the flashbacks. I think it is to buy time. And I think there's a lot of scenes that go on way too fucking long in
Yeah,
this movie.
there are.
Also to buy time.
Yeah.
But also, they work for me.
So you liked it, Mikey.
I think I did like it.
I know I'm going to enjoy talking about it.
I like a movie. You can watch it in reverse and it made much of sense. You know, it makes
As much sense
It
as
makes
it would
as much
forward.
sense. I do think this movie's effects are pretty solid, especially for like when it came out. Like the practical effects in this, I think are super
Dig it.
impressive. Yeah.
So good.
So like, it's not that I hate everything about it. It's really just the things that make up the story of the movie I don't like that much.
I mean,
But-
that's tough because that's like the whole thing.
Okay, hear me out. You could put all the scenes in a blender, mix it up.
Yeah.
A Paco Jet even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could Paco Jet it. You could redo the scenes in any order, and the movie still works the same way.
You could memento this movie. Yes.
Isn't that great?
No.
Also,
it's not great.
another thing I really liked, Watrick Pilson showed up to guide her into the guy's house, and I was like, that guy looks like Patrick Wilson if you squint your eyes. Maybe he's the protagonist with her.
Are you talking about Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Kyle doesn't look anything like Patrick Wilson.
Guys, if you squint your eyes,
No.
it looks like him. He does the same movement.
This is the cold medicine talking.
I was on a lot of medicine.
If you look above the waist, they sort of did look alike. But you're right, Paige. He wasn't as big as Watrick Pilson, you know what I'm saying?
No, he doesn't look like him at all.
But he got killed very quickly.
I was surprised that he got killed so fast.
by the stepmother's evil life-sucking powers.
Yes.
Yeah, she sucks him through the hand and mouth, it would appear. But again,
Yeah.
nothing's explained.
But Red Skull didn't do that in the first film.
No, we never saw Red Skull kill people in the first film. You would just come back and their corpse would be kind of desiccated. So this
Yeah.
is kind of like the first time we...
I thought he just cut their skin off to wear it. I didn't know he had to like suck their life force out of them.
No, it was suck the life force out of them in the first one. I'm almost positive because
yeah.
there's quite a bit of like that sort of stuff. And it's not as transition-y cool as it is in this movie.
Yeah.
But they do have some of that stuff in the first one as well.
They do, and you have to remember that this version of hell is sexy hell, so anytime you can incorporate sucking and fucking, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. Dude, it blew my mind when one of the Cenobites was a child. Like,
I know, what?
How did that happen?
I don't know!
I think it's just whoever opens the puzzle box, right?
Sure, yeah.
But usually, like, the reason they don't mess with Tiffany at one point in this movie is if, like, an innocent opens the puzzle box. Like, the puzzle box is supposed to also be punishment for people who seek excess. Like, that's the whole point of Hellraiser as, like, a concept is people who seek excess and extremes will one day be the victim of those excess and extremes.
Well, only Pinhead called the rest of the Cenobite club off of her. They were going to fuck her up. And then he's like, no.
But he said no.
But there was a time when he wasn't there. So they probably killed a bunch of people.
Well, I think it's because she's not the one who wanted it. Like, they got her to open the box, but he's like, she's not the desire, she's the hands.
Oh, yeah. He says something that's complete gibberish, but we're supposed to just know what it meant. I wrote it down.
Again, this is me making up my own version, but yeah.
Your version makes just as much sense as my version and Todd's version
Yeah.
and the movie.
But he comes in and says, it is not hands that call us, it is desire.
Yes.
Which I understood what it meant, but that's full gibberish.
Unless he's talking about phones, because then a phone would need a hand to call them.
I think what it means is, because it's this idea of like, when you think about crime, if you kill someone accidentally, it's not the same as murder if you did not have the intent to kill them, right?
Well, it's murder the
You know, if
second
this
degree.
wasn't premeditated,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever.
Or manslaughter.
I think that's what this basically is. It's like she opened the box, but she didn't want this, right? This was not her intended plan. Someone else wanted this. Yeah. Someone else wanted this and pushed her to open the box.
Yeah.
They're the ones we have to go after. So I think that's what it is. So it's not just the fact that you open the box. It's you have to open the box with intention, which is in line with a lot of occult thought that has a lot of symbolism and things in this movie. It just is very ham-fisted about the way that it explains it.
I guess my point is she was trying to solve the box. She might even have been desiring to open it, perhaps. So, like, the line the Cenobite says is nonsense. And
no lines in this movie are
I know,
clear.
that's why I don't like it. Like, if there's no causality for anything in this movie, so much so it became like a I think you should leave sketch, because it like was so committed to just not telling you why things were happening that you're forced to laugh at it when you're hitting the hour 10 mark.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, I guess just fuck me and my experience watching this movie, director man. Like, what is happening?
You just gotta let it happen.
I know, and you do.
It makes so much no sense that it makes perfect sense.
Nope. I got to a point where, this is why it took me so fucking long to watch this movie. Because I would, like, a scene would happen and I would pause it and be like, what does this mean? And try to think about it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. The worst thing you could do to yourself, oh, now I know. My personal hell would be watching the Hellraiser franchise with a dictionary page.
No, you would have to write a dissertation on the meaning on the Hellraiser franchise.
I feel like I could after this movie. But it's more of just like, what are the themes that I know that they're playing with? What is the occult stuff that they're misunderstanding? Who is Clive Barker? And what weirdness would come out of that? And then cobbling it together into being like, okay, so I think this maybe isn't really hell, but specifically a dimension ruled by an elder god that requires mazes, but also punishes people for their own excesses. And that's why everyone's punishment is related to their crime.
Except for the one guy who just has to have blurry sex forever.
And the one child who was a Cenobite.
That's the one I can't figure out is the child.
Okay, so Cenobite life. Let's talk about Cenobite life.
Hashtag Cenobite life.
It seems like it sucks to become one, but once you're done with the process, like the hazing.
Yeah, once you get Paco jetted.
Like,
Yeah, once they Paco jet your brain, then like, of course.
I mean, they are cool. They just like chill out down there and like go get out and like murder people. Like they don't seem like they're in torment.
We know zero about their day-to-day, and Mikey's like, it can't be that bad. They're in hell. Like, what are we saying?
I'm not 100%. Here's my theory on the Cenobites and all the people in hell. If this is hell, in this dimension.
All 15 people that were in this hell.
Yeah, it was Paige, Mikey, me, MC Escher.
Yeah. So many stairs, so many windows.
Yeah.
I think they're in constant pain, and everyone is in constant pain, but it's pain mixed with pleasure. So you are party to some of the most pleasurable delights, but the catch-22 is that you are also in constant pain. Like, you can come back to full life and regain skin, but until you gain that skin, you're in constant pain. And you can't die because you're technically already dead. But again, this is just me thinking too hard about Hellraiser.
Yeah. I mean, and all of that makes sense, but it's not what's in the movie. None of that's explained or shown on screen.
Before we get into it, I need to tell you.
Wait, are you not recording before we get into it?
I'm just saying.
What is happening?
Close your eyes, and I want you to watch the lens in which I watch the lens of just someone who worked at that psychiatric hospital who goes into work one day and was like, 30 patients are missing. Should I report this?
Right?
Or should I just not bother having to like feed them today? I'm just going to go to the next ward. Ward D is missing. Does anybody notice? Oh, the doctor left a note that he took the 30 patients? All right.
On a field trip to hell.
To hell, that they Paco jetted his brain and put some sort of weird bug penis in it, and now he has finger penises.
At the end, when it rips it out, like his head in half, which is a cool effect.
Very cool.
It fully is a dick. Like, you see, it is a
Yes,
dick.
it's a penis. This is sex hell.
Yes.
This is sex hell.
He is, yeah, it is a dick.
Horny jail. All of these people are in horny jail. I think maybe it wasn't a child, it was like a teenager who just got too horny. You know how teenagers be.
Paige, I would be a Cenobite at like 13. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's not fair.
I think he was just a really big puzzle enthusiast. And all the Cenobites aren't sexual deviants. They're just big puzzle people. And that's what happened to them.
I can't wait until we do hit like the Rubik's Cube time in history, like the speed Rubik's Cube people, because all of them are going to be the next round of Cenobites. It's just going to be them with like...
No, hell only takes the top Rubik's Cube. You can't just have 30. You have like board puzzles, the Rubik's Cube.
They're like their own divisions.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
their goal is to be this year's Cenobite. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Pinhead is the Sudoku. He's the Sudoku Cenobite.
He's the Sudoku Cenobite?
Because he's got a grid on his head.
That makes sense.
His epic backstory was revealed, which was he was a white guy.
In World War II, definitely.
One, I believe.
I don't think he could be based on that uniform.
Well, he has a pith helmet.
Yeah. You're right.
But
You're right.
that was supposed to be a whole sub-story that got cut out completely that is in the third one, allegedly.
Okay.
Finally, a reason to move forward.
Well, at a certain point, the Hellraiser movies stop being based on anything and are just movies they acquired and then Control F Pinhead.
I love that too.
Oh, also, Julia is supposed to be the big bad and big bad moving forward. So like,
oh, wait, really?
in the story, yes.
She's the big bad in this movie?
I'm burning a ton of fun facts, but I feel like we need to because this movie makes no sense. Okay.
Yeah.
This movie was greenlit during post-production of the first one. So it was greenlit before this movie, first one ever came out, right?
Oh boy.
So they had no idea how popular Pinhead was going to be. In the books, Pinhead is just one of many Cenobites. He's not like a leader or anything. And in fact, the character of Pinhead in the books is a woman. It's a whole thing, right?
What?
They changed it drastically for the movie. Yes. However, in the new Hellraiser, Pinhead is also a woman or potentially androgynous. I don't know. I haven't seen it. We'll get to it. Anyway, so.
I actually am looking forward to seeing the 2022 or the 2020 Hellraiser.
Kind of. Same. I think it might make more sense.
Because the creative team that did all of these Hellraisers were not involved.
Right. So they didn't know that after the first movie, people were going to be like, Pinhead's the guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like to the point where people refer to Pinhead sometimes as Hellraiser, which is incorrect.
I did that until we started doing this podcast. Like that was my understanding of this franchise. Yeah.
Right. So this movie is in production as that movie's being released and they're like seeing this. So they drastically rewrite this movie to kind of like, I guess, kill Pinhead. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he's not. Questions, air quotes, who knows?
He can't be dead. Like he's the face of the franchise.
Well, that's the thing. When they were making this movie, he wasn't. So they had to change it so he was, because Julia was going to be the villain in this and the next one.
Okay.
So a lot of the things that she's doing in horny jail hell is her trying to gain power to be like the most powerful being underneath the god Leviathan, who is the god of excess that she serves, right?
Right.
So she would have then become the villain. But because Pinhead was so popular after the first one got released, they had to drastically rewrite it. So now the third movie, it's Pinhead. And Julia gets her skin taken in this movie and Kirsten gets to wear it. So
when Kristen was wearing Julia's skin, I lost my mind at that reveal.
how long would it take to put a full skin suit like that on?
She went to hair and makeup, Paige. Like that would take
know.
hours.
Uh-huh.
Like it was a Mission Impossible level reveal where he like peels the face off. I was like, what is happening? But it looked good for the time. Like I'm not making fun of the effect. Like it looked great. It was just insane.
I don't even understand why she did it. It's just all so stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to trick that guy so that the penis would rip his head off.
But why?
But that guy only had his penis head ripped off because I can't believe that I just said that. Because
Look, it's a box full of demon penis snakes and it takes his fucking head.
because he was trying to kill Tiffany in this movie, right? He was trying to kill her and he got his
Right.
snake hands stuck in the thing.
Snake knife penis hands.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the thing wanted to move, so it ripped his head in half. But
Right.
so it wasn't because of the kiss
Yeah.
that she did as Julia. And also, Julia and the doctor weren't like an item ever.
No.
So she could have just kissed the doctor. Like, this is the stuff that drives me crazy when I'm watching the movie. I'm like, Why? None of that she didn't have to do. Why? This makes no sense. Like, I was just like yelling that the entire time.
Just relax and watch the torture box of penis snakes, man. Just
Yeah,
vibe.
it's a carnival. It's the David S. Pumpkins ride.
It is the MC Escher David S. Pumpkins Carnival. Yeah.
You're like, your dad's not here. Only everyone else in hell is here.
Your dad didn't want to sign on because he saw the first film.
Yeah.
They should have just told her at the end, your dad's in heaven. And I'd have been like, oh, that's sweet.
All right. This is the second Willy Wonka book with the terrifying elevator.
Yeah, which is what it is.
Todd, I'm going to need you to take that scene, much like you did, great job, by the way, with
thank
the
you.
Phantasm 2.
Yeah.
I need you to take the one of her taking Julia's face off and score it to the Mission Impossible theme.
Bump, 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 bump. Yeah. Oh my God. That song taught me how to play in 5/4. Do you guys want to get into this movie so we can talk about it scene by scene, though?
Yeah, I have so much more to say about penis snakes and the occult. Let's go.
That's why I'm here, Paige.
This movie opens on a dark screen with a voice that says, "What's your pleasure, sir?" And I was like, I already hate this.
And Paige, we see, I think, the worst moment from the first film.
I thought about you when it aired.
That line in the first film felt like a very pointed fuck you viewer to me.
Well, when it was just, Jesus wept.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, teenager yelling at her parents over the dinner table.
Oh, it does. It feels like some child just got into their goth era and found Spencer's Gifts and wanted to write a moody screenplay. Like, that's what these movies feel like to me.
I wish more people did that.
Have you seen The Crow? It's kind of like that also.
Yes, but I think The Crow excels at that because it doesn't take itself so pretentiously seriously.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
This can be fun if you let it be fun and let it be a weird puzzle of like, what does the penis snake mean?
These are sentences I never thought I'd ask myself.
I had a great day today. Anyway, this is a recap from the first movie. So we're seeing him get ripped apart. Where's the Jesus wept and the Cenobites with such dough to show you. And then the puzzle box, she closes the puzzle box, go to hell. And then, and again, all of that, I'm like watching this. I was like, did I click on the wrong one? Like, this is all from the first. Oh, and then the credits start and it's just black credits, white letters for 2.5 minutes of just like names, music. And I was like, man.
Guess how pissed I was, Paige. And this is not a problem with Hellraiser. A lot of movies at the time did this.
Yes.
And it's just so boring.
But when we come back from the most boring credits in the world, we focus on a gauge, which at first I was like, e-meter? No, it's some sort of radio. And then we pan across a bed that has an old army uniform and a pith helmet in what looks like an empty aircraft hangar or a giant jail. But all I took note of was that they clearly had more money for this one than the first one, even though their budget got cut.
They absolutely did.
Yes. So he's playing with the puzzle box and it lights up with force lightning because it's always force lightning in this movie. And then clouds cover the jail cell. It's dark. There's a light just on him. The box opens and in my notes, I just have hookers, but it's just like a bunch of hooks with chains.
Technically, it is 4 hooks making up hookers. Yeah, because they hook him into the box.
Multiple hooks.
Yeah.
And he gets ripped and sliced and pins. And I was like, oh, is this where Pinhead comes from? Who's to say? No information.
I was like, oh, cool. This is how Pinhead became Pinhead. That's cool. And then I was like, oh, wait, they're human? And then, or they were formerly human, I should say.
Right.
And then, like, through the movie, they're like, no, we were never human. I didn't know that guy. That wasn't me. And then you hand them a picture and they're like, oh, I guess I was. My bad.
He's remembering, Peter.
Oh, my God.
That's the only hook I believe in is the movie hook.
Oh.
Y'all fuckers still have not watched Blind Spotting, which had a hook episode this week, y'all. A hook episode.
Paige, how much is Stars paying you?
Not enough, because it is exhausting trying to drag you into good TV. Anyway, so he comes out of the Pinterest pin thing, and he's like, the sweet suffering, the cinnamon, and the cream cheese frosting. And I just have in my notes, this is why solitary confinement is so bad. Like, you might turn into Pinhead if you don't play your cards right.
He played his puzzle box right.
He's played his puzzle box right. You should have given him cards. Anyway, we cut to an institution where it's Kirsten from the first movie, and she's just like sitting there, and she's just like, so where's like my boyfriend? Where's everything? And the boyfriend, by the way, gone. Not in this movie. Still alive in the story?
One would assume. I mean, I don't think he died in the first one, right?
No, it says it. It says, we committed her to an institution. He went home.
He went home, even though, like, he told us a crazy story too, but women weren't. So, like, she's in this institution.
I do love how they were like, sir, you're good to go. And
Yeah.
she's like, what? We had the same story.
Yeah.
He broke up with her, so we let him go home.
Yeah. And so she's in there talking to the doctor. She's like, no, I saw it. All the blood, the terrifying stuff, and my pervy uncle.
We know your boyfriend called you a witch. Now go away.
We're going to dunk you in a pond. And if you float, then you are a witch. But if you sink,
You are dead.
you were innocent. And thank goodness you were innocent as you ascend to heaven. So meanwhile, there are police at the crime scene, and they find her uncle's terrifying porn stash, but also another body that they accidentally shoot that's full of maggots. Super gross.
It is really gross. This movie won't be a 1 for me, but it's not scary. But the body stuff is...
The body horror is real in this movie.
I'll be completely honest with you. The one that really got me is where the doctor, not Kyle, but the other doctor who becomes like the main guy, when he brings that guy in and he has like maggots on his chest and he's cutting his chest with the straight razor. That, ooh,
It was not good for me.
that was, oof.
Anyway, so the detective is meanwhile at the hospital. He's getting this information and he turns to this very traumatized woman and is just like, why don't you talk to me? No demon fairy tales. And she's like, my father didn't believe either, but some of them come true, even the bad ones. And he's just like, what are you saying? So
She did it.
she did it. So they call in and they're like, hey, we found more bodies, but we also found this bloody mattress. Is it evidence? And I'm like, yes. Clearly it's evidence. Also, it has hooks and chains in it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Clearly it's evidence.
Like, at some point, someone should throw that mattress away, but this thing is like a holy relic for some reason. Anyway, but it isn't just a bed. The fact that the guy says just a bed page, I was like, no, this was used in a torture type of scenario. Someone was murdered here, sir. Yes, it's evidence.
I have made a mattress look like that.
I'm sorry, you have made a mattress look like this?
Wait, Todd, we need to talk about the podcast right away.
Immediately.
Yeah, I was washing my sheets and eating chips and salsa, and I only buy salsa in big jugs.
You do only buy salsa in big jugs and you spill it fucking everywhere. Did you guys clean the fridge of the Airbnb before we left?
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
I think we did actually. Mikey, we did.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because that was another place where plenty of salsa was spilled.
Yeah.
And I opened the fridge and I was like, I have such sights to show you, Paige.
And he's like indecent proposaling himself with salsa instead of money.
I'm just covered in salsa and guac, and I'm like, behold, hell is upon us, the pain.
That's going to make your pee hole burn.
That's the pain, Paige. Well, of course it is.
The pleasure is what you get.
I know a lot of listeners that would be down for some Mikey Lovin' and some chips and salsa.
I don't cook a quesadilla. We become the quesadilla.
No!
We provide the heat.
Tortillas and cheese melted in a painful thing. Yeah.
He just opens his bedroom door and his sheets are 2 tortillas slapped together and he's like, come join me.
It's not the hands that guide us. It's the desire for the tortilla that we target.
I have such sights to show you.
Come, darling. You know my quesadilla is not complete without brie.
And
Like that's her
sour
name?
cream.
Oh,
How would you put brie in a case? I mean, that sounds amazing.
Because it's the only female name that's also a cheese.
really? Is there not any more?
Oh, shit. I forgot about Jackie Cheddar. I don't know. I feel like Brie's the main one. I think I broke Paige. I'm sorry.
It's me, Jackie Cheddar.
I told you I had dated some monsters. You guys.
Man, Mikey, your jokes are super cheesy today, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to this movie.
You bastards. Oh, I love it.
Anyway, so this horrible death mattress, he's like, tag it and move it. I'm like, yeah, that's your job. Anyway, so we cut to somebody having open brain surgery from a terrifying doctor, because this is going to be penis head later. But he's like, the mind is a labyrinth. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like the things you should be saying during surgery. And it's clearly experimental brain surgery where he like drills something into the brain.
It's kind of say a lobotomy is experimental brain surgery.
But it's not a lobotomy. A lobotomy would be through the front.
Through the
That's your
nose,
frontal
yeah.
lobe. And he's going in the back.
Oof. Some people like it. I'm just saying
Some
some
people
people
like
prefer
it.
that
To
entry
each their
method.
own, you know,
It's
whatever.
whatever you and your surgeon consensually agree upon.
Right. If somebody's going to Dremel your brain and you're like, it hits deeper from the back, I get it. But like, you guys have that conversation.
I've seen what you're working with tool-wise, Doc, and you're going to need to enter from the back.
Yeah. So they come in and they're like, hey, that girl who knew the person on the bloody hook mattress is here. And he's like, oh, perfect. I'll get to this later. And just like leaves the surgery.
No, he's like, my part's done. Y'all finish it up. He says it in the film.
Oh.
Yeah.
Apparently his part was just like, yeah, I'm done. I got off. You finish yourself off. All right, bye.
It does sort of play that way. Although I'll say this, I work in the industry a little bit. They do have physician assistants that are honestly
Oh, for sure.
pretty close to being doctors. And when the surgeon is done, a lot of times it's the physician assistant that'll close up.
That stitches you up.
But they do a lot more than just like, okay, I drilled, now I'm out. Like they do the whole surgery.
They do more than pump and dump, you would say.
Exactly. Yeah.
I also think in a real surgery, they probably don't have like flaps holding the skin that far away from the brain.
Yeah, it was for comedic effect or dramatic effect.
His head looked like a cabbage,
I thought it was pretty fun.
a bloody sauce of cabbage. What is a brain if not a bloody sauce of cabbage?
This needed more embalming mustards for me.
Same. Yeah.
Honestly, this and Phantasm, not that far off.
No, they're not. And honestly, I would like this if the dialogue was more on the level of Phantasm, which is an insanely low bar to get to. But this movie, the dialogue takes itself so seriously that it's hard to be like, oh man, this is fun and silly.
Yeah.
When he's like, come on down to Cinnabon where we have such sweetest pleasures known to man.
The mind is a labyrinth, the bakery is a prison, and we are all captive to the cinnamon and dough buttery feelings of the... Yeah.
This movie is just like Labyrinth.
Okay, Labyrinth is a movie we haven't even discussed yet, and you said it like we were talking about them being similar.
But they are.
They are.
Paige said Labyrinth,
That's because it was a quote from this film. But
which means the movie knows. They're just alike.
no, labyrinth is just a word anyway. But
It's not only the title of the movie.
Who knows?
imagine if David Bowie is playing Pinhead.
Are David Bowie just the seventh Cinnabite?
Just by himself, just like, and we're rocking in this hell world with
Yeah, just
all
with his
the
crystal
doors
globe or
and
whatever.
all the stairs, just like juggling the clear globes. Yes, I'm here for that 150%.
I'm a Cinnabite waiting in hell for you. Sorry. I apologize, Sovereign.
I'd be like, I'm in my hell. Musical stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, he leaves the surgery and he's like, what is it? And they're like, some traumatized girl. And he's like, all right. So
We'll be keeping you for a very long time.
yeah. So he walks in and she's like bare knuckle boxing that cop. Like hardcore. And she's like, I saw it and I solved the box and the Cenobites. And the doctor's like, really? Like,
Oh, tell me everything.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm into.
And how did that make you feel?
It was crazy to me that she was concerned that the cop thought she was crazy. Like, of course, he thinks you're crazy. Like, I feel like if you were sane and you were saying these things, you would be saying things like, I know this sounds crazy.
Yeah, I know this sounds
But
crazy.
she doesn't make any reference to that at all. She's just like, yeah, it was like, I found a portal to hell. Like, that's a thing. I've seen worse on the local news.
You'd be surprised.
I know this sounds crazy, but what if jail was sexy?
I saw a couple of movies.
A couple.
I was gonna say from the
And
70s.
jail was sexy, and they were called
I've seen Oz.
Not Oz.
Yeah.
Oz is not what I was referring to. It was a women's jail. I think the movie was just called Women's Jail.
Oh, it's Women in Cages. Women in Cages is the name of the film.
Is this
the cage was emotional.
Film for adult? Yeah, it was an emotional.
It is a real film starring Pam Grier.
No shit.
It's not a horror film. Otherwise, I'd force you guys to watch it because it's
not a horror
wild.
Film.
Yes.
There is a subgenre of movies, female prison movies, and they have a lot of artistic merit.
Do they now?
Yes. But jail is sexy on them, in them.
All right. I haven't seen them.
I've seen a good 5 to 10 minutes of each of them.
Holy shit. Are we already?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're not quite half.
Okay.
I mean, we're pretty.
I mean, but nothing happens in this movie.
Which I love.
Nothing explicable happens in this movie.
I didn't know what to expect, and yet I expected everything, and it's got nothing. But then I got everything and expected everything, but nothing.
That dialogue is about as coherent as the one in this movie.
What you just said is probably word for word what Pinhead said in this movie.
That's probably what they should quote me on a box with a review. It's like Mad Libs for fetishes.
Oh my God. I bet there are dirty Mad Libs.
It's called sexting, Paige.
Okay, I get that, but I mean like actual dirty Mad Libs, adult Mad Libs, an awkward encounter. I think I have ideas for our next live show.
Hell yeah. Here's my idea for the next live show. Was it an actual line of dialogue Pinhead said, or Chat GPT pretending to be an angsty teen?
No, I'm gonna go, is it Pinhead or is it My Chemical Romance? Although I bet the audience will do well. I bet you guys will do badly, and that will be fun for all of us.
I think you're misunderstanding my love of My Chemical Romance.
Am I?
Nope.
Great, let's go. Okay, so he's like, I'd like to talk to her alone, and the cop's like, okay. So as he's leaving, she says, the mattress, you gotta destroy it, because she can come back now like Frank. And I think this is just her spitballing as to what will destroy the mattress and stop the madness from happening.
I mean, does she even go into what will stop the mattress from being a portal to hell?
I don't even think she knows.
Well, if blood causes Julia to come back, OxyClean causes Julia to be banished to forever until the afterlife.
Billy Mays here, coming to you straight from hell with OxyClean. Do you have a relative that you don't want to come back? OxyClean.
Leave me down here. I'm in the blurry half-sex room all the time, and I love it.
Oh my God. If he was just in the background, just like, y'all need to clean. Just like, I would have loved that.
Well, he probably had to deal with the Cenobites, because I feel like that they did a lot of like the higher up middle management of Labyrinth Hell, and like there's a lot of blood down there, and it's gonna stain on that rock without somebody cleaning it up.
There is, and I know we were watching What We Do in the Shadows when we were at Panic Fest, but I do love the one where he just tapes like 10 Tide pens together, and it's like a super Tide pen.
Just spray OxyClean on the bed and watch the magic happen. Sorry, I think that Billy Mays bit was funny.
You don't want your stains to turn into your bloody stepmother coming to life and trying to kill everybody.
Pleasure and pain and cinnamon. Okay, so
and icing.
I love thinking that there's Cinnabon employees that are like, this is what we do in our off time. So
I want them to be detectives, and they're going to take a Cenobite out of crime.
And our fourth Cenobite, Scruff McGruff, the crime dog. Like,
he opens his trench coat, and it's just like hooks and
it's
ladders.
just hooks.
But still fully naked. That dog was fully naked,
nude.
walking
Fully
around.
nude.
That is a live sentient being that can do taxes walking around nude. Sorry.
I walk around nude all the time.
Same.
Well, I guess my question is, at what level of sentience do pants become a requirement?
Never.
All right.
Yeah, he could wear a kilt.
Just ask Donald Duck or Jamie from Outlander. Pants are never a requirement.
All right.
I have a serious question.
How is that possible based on this conversation?
When man was uncivilized, like in the wilds, and they had to run a lot, like what did they do with their junk? Because when I run without like compression shorts, it hurts. And so like, did they just hunt and gather like
You're
that?
You're beating up your thighs. I get it, Mikey. Not everyone has problems like that.
But if that's the case, wouldn't smaller penises be the ones that evolved?
I think they were wrapping them back, like with a loincloth.
Yeah, they would use what they call tuck tape. It's just like duct tape, but it's for your dick and balls.
Right. But first you got to push the balls up inside and then pull the shaft back.
That is true, Mikey. I can see your face. And that is a true fact I learned while watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
I just don't think they can hunt like that.
I feel like it might make you faster, like aerodynamically speaking. I guess my question is foot race, exact same person. One is tucked and one is not. Who's faster? I need Mythbusters on the case.
Well, if it's you, you're going to be the fastest with your freaky talon feet. Just gripping the ground like they're spikes for sprinting.
Yeah, it's not fair because I can take different routes because I can use my feet to hook onto the tree branches. Yeah, like...
Yeah. You can climb the sheer face of a cliff. This is not fair.
I can't hang upside down, Todd. My dick would hit me in the face.
Well, you can't hang upside down unless you're using your dick to hold you to the tree. Yeah, like a lemur or whatever, like that does with his tail.
And that's not what a lemur... Oh, okay.
Not with a lemur's dick, Mikey.
Well, I've decided to conclude this serious question.
Nope. We got to keep going. If it weren't for us, your dick would be slapping you in the thighs until you were bruised like a pole dancer. I'm sure we're the ones that came up with a solution.
What, are you going to try to do a Cinnabite sales pitch to me now?
I think we're slowly seeing over the course of the podcast why Mikey is Prove alone. Hello, cheese puns.
You couldn't even get Jackie Cheddar.
All right, we got to get back to this movie because I refuse to let our Hellraiser 2 recording go 3 hours like our music and lyrics recording did. Yeah.
No, I'm not doing
I refuse.
Not doing it. Anyway, back to this movie. So, as soon as the doctor hears about the mattress, he's like, I've got something to take care of. Kyle, you're kind of a pervy nurse. You stay here. I'ma go. Kyle was weirdly around her. Like,
yeah, he absolutely was.
Yeah.
And when he died, I wasn't super mad about it because he had just sort of like touched her face and said something that was like
it's a lot.
Vaguely sexual to someone who was like a patient in the hospital. By the way, Kyle's a doctor. He's not a nurse.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's not give Kyle more heat than the guy who killed 40 patients, okay? Okay.
Oh, we're giving him plenty of heat. The penis takes his head off.
He breaks her out and is like, let's go break into this other doctor's house. I believe you about your sex mattress.
Sure. Because like when she gets out, right? He tells her about the wooden puzzle girl next door, right?
Uh-huh.
Which is like literally the next scene is like she gets out, he finds her, and he literally has like his hands on her shoulders.
Yeah.
And is like pressed up against her. I was just like, ooh.
It is played like he's romantically interested in her.
Yes.
At least that's the way it reads to me. I don't really get that from her. I'm getting that from him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the one, and Todd, you're going to hate this because it's gibberish, but she's the one like looking at the puzzles is like, why is she doing the puzzles? And he's like, well, I think she's trying to put things in her life in order. And then she just goes, or she's opening doors. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll go to bed. Like, just like immediately, are we supposed to infer things? Maybe. Is it foreshadowing? Kind of.
I sort of love that line of dialogue because it is bonkers and delivered in a very weird but quintessentially 80s way.
Yep.
I mean, and that actually does sort of make sense because she's been traumatized also.
Right.
The stuff that doesn't make sense, that's the stuff that really bothers me.
So she has what I would say is a nightmare. There's steam coming from the radiator. There's blood on the walls. There's puzzles. And there's a bloody figure laying on the floor who has written, I am in hell, help me. And she then wakes up. The words are still on the wall. She like tastes the blood.
Oh, she's like, oh, it's Dad's blood.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Dad. Like, it's weird.
I didn't realize her dad was Sweet Baby Ray, but I love his blood too.
Oh, honey barbecue. So we cut to the doctor making his rounds and he's like, how are we feeling today? And he passes by a guy who's like 105 years and he still doesn't know my name, which, okay.
I thought it was funny. I was like, okay, I get what you're trying to do here, movie. That's
Sure.
the one joke you've afforded the audience. We appreciate it.
I thought it hit. I was like, man, you're right. I don't learn patients' names. It's hard. I'm not a name guy. I'm a face guy, you know?
I'm a face guy too, Mikey. I'm very bad with names.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same guy he kidnaps later and makes cut his own chest open a bunch over.
No, it's a different guy. But he does pass. It's in the next scene that he passes the guy that he takes.
Yeah.
Because he gets into the elevator, the horrible elevator, and goes down to the maintenance floor to meet David S. Pumpkins. But it's almost like this is like a padded cell prison below the hospital that no one is monitoring.
Yeah, it seemed like the institutionalized version of like solitary confinement, maybe. But it is like quintessential padded cell kind of thing.
But they're also, it's dirty. Like, they're being mistreated.
Oh,
down.
yeah,
like,
but it's
that's not
also
part
a
of the
maintenance
normal
floor.
hospital. It's a maintenance floor. Yeah.
Yeah. I got the vibe that it was just him and the people that were working on that floor that knew about that floor.
Yeah. But there's nothing like stopping anyone from going.
No, I know.
to that floor.
Yeah, I guess it can't
No.
be, I guess.
Nothing makes sense because if you think about it,
Ugh.
it's very impossible to have a secret floor on a hospital when you're just one doctor.
Right.
And there's an elevator button that lets you off on that floor.
Yeah.
Right.
And maintenance has to do their actual maintenance. Like the boiler is right there as well.
Right.
Like, oh, the boiler's making noise. Oh, I fixed it. Oh, there's 30 people down here.
Right.
All screaming.
Oh, this is a horrifying prison?
I thought all that was from the boiler.
Yeah, well, I need to find that out. Oh, God. Like, because then you got to kill that person, right?
Well, you got to call the anonymous corporate compliance line. Yes, I don't want you to know my name, but I found 30 people locked in the basement.
What if they're all former maintenance guys? And he just like waits for them to come down there and it's just like, oopsie daisies. So, this is where we see a guy with like, who's like screaming with his eyes rolled back. But then we also see the guy who's like, please get them off me, who is picturing that he has some sort of maggots or bugs or anything on him, which is very sad.
Yes.
That would be a horrible thing to experience.
It looked like maggots to me. Like he had already died in his mind and those were like the maggots eating his skin.
Tactile hallucinations are very rare.
Yeah.
Usually drug-induced.
Yes.
But they do happen, right, Mikey? Like,
Yeah, but usually it's methamphetamine.
Yeah, I was gonna say meth is usually the culprit. And
Yeah.
oof.
Schizophrenia, they're very, very rare. I mean, not that they don't happen, they're just very, very rare.
yeah.
Because this movie plays it like he's a schizophrenic, old-timey psychiatric patient. That usually doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
One time on morphine, I hallucinated that I had peed my pants, but the doctor told me that would happen. So
Yeah, I hallucinated. I peed my pants 2 page. Wink, wink. I definitely didn't shit my pants on the floor like 6 weeks ago. It was a hallucination.
I didn't. That's you.
It was a hallucination. It was a dream. It was all a dream.
They're calico cut pants. It's a real thing, Paige.
Yeah. The doctor injected the thing and he was like, oh, you're going to think you peed your pants, but you didn't. And then he just walked out of the room because I was there for extreme dehydration. So he was like, yeah, you didn't pee your pants. I just threw up too much. It's fine. Anyway, so Pervy Kyle comes to check up on Christy and she's like, I had a visitor. It was my father. And he's like alone and suffering. He's like, your dad's dead. And she's like, yes, dead, alone, and suffering. Did you not listen? Like, what the fuck?
So he's married again?
Oh, wow.
Boomer humor.
Take my wife. No, really. To hell. Take her.
Why don't you stick to your minion memes, boomers?
I think it's pronounced mignon, but I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Mignon memes.
We have such mignons to show you.
I didn't turn over this to Red. You bring me some more mignon, hell Cinnabite.
Okay.
Oh my God,
it's
what if there is a Brazilian steakhouse
That's
in hell?
okay. It's a Brazilian steakhouse in the style of Hellraiser where they only serve mignons, but with like hooks and they're like cut open.
I would 100% go there just to check out what else is on their salad bar. Like, obviously they sell mignons, but like, is their mac and cheese banger? Like, I want to find out how good it is in hell. You know what I'm saying?
There was a place in Pasadena called the Meat Hook that you could order. You could order your meat on a hook, and they would bring you a hook that had like one skewer with like multiple meats on it, and you would eat your way through the hook. It was delicious.
At what point does it just become, and honestly, what Jesus taught us all to be, where that chef is just fishing for men at that point? If he's throwing out big ass hooks with bait on them that you eat off of, at what point does he pull you and hook you with the Holy Spirit? Nailed it!
He hooked this lady.
But I'm actually dragging 2 yellow barrels behind me.
They were black barrels full of mustard, though.
Wow, it's a Jaws reference because I ate the hooks.
Oh, I was thinking Phantasm.
We may have lost the thread on the movie.
Yeah. Anyway, so Pervy Kyle goes to get the doctor and overhears the doctor being
Dr. Pervy Kyle.
Dr. Pervy Kyle.
He didn't take that pervy fellowship to not be called pervy, okay?
Pervy Kyle, Perv HD. So he goes to Dr. Kennard's office or Chenard's office, and he listens in. And this is the most descriptive overheard conversation ever, because he's like, yes, that's right, the mattress with the blood on it. I'll meet you by the side entrance. No, of my house, not the hospital. Okay, I'll see you there at 7 p.m. It's the most exposition you could overhear in one phone
It's
call.
an eavesdropper's dream is all we're saying. Like, that is everything you need to know about that call.
Yep. So She then, he kind of like stops back in with her, and she says, this must have been going on forever. Like the part that destroyed my family, it started with my uncle Frank and Julia, and then we devolve into the second recap montage of this film.
Yeah, we pretty much watch the highlights of film 1.
Yeah, ending with Jesus wept again. Great, cool. Now we're back.
Yeah.
And this is, so he's brought Dr. Shenarda in to hear her story. And she's like, am I crazy? And he's like, I choose not to imply crazy, but there's a lot for us to discuss and investigate. There's a lot I got to do. Okay, bye, and leaves.
I do like that this therapist, doctor, whatever, like, will murder the entire ward full of people, but he draws the line at calling them crazy, Paige.
Yes. Anyway, we cut to his house where Dr. Pervy Kyle, Perv HD, is trying to get in, and he kind of like breaks in, but then he sees the mattress and he like walks the room a bit. So we get like an establishing shot. And he just keeps looking at like occult symbols and puzzle boxes and pictures on the wall. And he just goes, weird, fucking weird.
Yeah, but that scene takes 45 seconds to a full ass minute. And it's not like we're learning things because we're getting close up on articles or like information on the wall. Like it's going to tell us who Pepe Sylvia is. We get nothing that's actionable information. It's just a guy walking around a confusing room saying weird.
See, okay, I got actual information from this.
We
Maybe
learned
it was
by
just
coincidence that this guy wants to go to Hellraiser Town.
Okay,
And
yeah.
he found a girl who went there.
This is my headcanon of what happened in this scene.
Okay.
He is walking. We see multiple drawings of multiple puzzle boxes, which
Sure.
to me meant that either the doctor has found multiple, maybe there are multiple. We know there's multiple at the end. So maybe he has found and located multiple or made them. I think found because he's got them under cases. But then when he goes through the articles, this is where we learn that he's trying to figure out how to use people's subconscious to go to horny hell, right? And so that's where he's kind of tracking all of it.
But why? Why does he want to go to horny hell? Like, none of that is ever explained.
It's not. His motivation is never clear. Yeah.
Like,
no, you're
if
right.
his mother had just died and he was like, she was a real bad person, so I know if I find a way to hell, I can get her out. Like, that would be a 2-second motivation that would make sort of sense.
No, man. He's like, look, I want to get down.
Oh, and listen, you know where they definitely get down, baby?
Horny hell.
Hell yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking. It's one of two things. Either he's like, I can only come when I staple my own dick to my desk. Like, it's either that or...
Been there, brother.
Or he doesn't know that it's horny hell and he thinks it's just another dimension and wants to explore it as a means of time travel.
Did you say time travel?
I mean, I didn't get any of that. Okay.
Or dimensional travel.
I love this.
But that makes sense that he's like Rick from Rick and Morty, like just discovering portal tech.
Yeah.
I think he knows it's a portal to hell and he wants to go to hell, but just because he's a like affluent tourist and he's been everywhere else.
I think that's also acceptable. I ascribe to the, he thinks it's a different dimension. He doesn't fully know what he's getting himself into, but that he is desperate to discover. But also, I stayed up till 2 a.m. just mainlining Diet Coke and watching The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. So like, I can't be trusted.
Okay, I think he's really into stepmothers and he's like gonna go for it. You know what I'm saying?
If he's really into stepmothers, he needs the box that leads him to Pornhub. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
This was before Pornhub. And the true original Pornhub was Sex Horny Labyrinth Hell.
yeah.
Sex Horny Labyrinth Hell, where there's a whole room of Sex Horny Labyrinth Hell where people are just getting stuck in washing machines like, oh no.
Yeah.
I got my
I'm
hand
stuck
stuck
in
in
this
the couch.
washing machine. Oh no.
I don't know what you're talking about, Paige.
I know you're my stepbrother, but I'm stuck. Anyways.
It's a weird thing to yell instead of saying, hey, could you help me get unstuck?
I'm stuck.
I know our parents aren't married, but would you give me a hand?
Your dick is so big. That has nothing to do with this, but also I'm stuck in the door. Did somebody order a pizza with extra? Oh, are you stuck in a door?
God, you sound just like Pinhead.
I have such sights to show you, stepsister. So
I think I'm not a huge BDSM guy, but like none of this movie sounded sexy to me. I'm like, I don't want to fuck a person without skin.
skin is usually my prerequisite.
Yeah. He like goes at it. She looks like
He
a
goes
tomato.
at it. Well, let me get there. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
So pervy Kyle hides in the curtains, and he sees the doctor bring in that guy who is imagining that he has maggots covered in him.
Yeah.
And he takes his straitjacket off and puts him down on the mattress and just hands him a straight razor. It's like, this is going to go badly.
Yeah, I mean, but he knows what he's going to do with it. Like,
Yeah. And this guy proceeds to just cut himself all over.
ugh.
Although he slices at his neck like 3 or 4 times and doesn't die.
I mean, he dies eventually.
Eventually, he
Yeah.
drenches the mattress in blood. No sooner has he that arms and legs come out and like blood wrestle. And he's trying to crawl away. She's right behind him. She drags him back. She reaches into the back of his head
Yeah.
and basically eats him, sucks the life out of him. And he just kind of, the doctor just kind of stares at her. And she climbs back onto the mattress. The Foley is super gross. And she like orgasms all of her new strength up
Yep.
and then stands up. And he's just like, okay. So we cut to,
Can I just say this before we cut to anything?
yes.
The effects on Julia look amazing.
It looks so good.
It looks so good. But her ears make me giggle because, like, they wouldn't be there.
Right.
And that's just funny to me that they were like, no skin, but like, leave the ears.
Leave the ears though.
And like, just paint them back or whatever.
I do, because it does look like it's, no skin. It's all the musculature and the bones. And it looks so good and so
Yeah.
creepy. And they do it a few different times in the movie.
Well, and a few different characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like she got on a swing set and swung really hard and then went all the way around and she turned into Inside Out Boy, which is like a very vague
I was like, that is a
reference.
deep, deep cut. deep.
Okay, so you
cut.
did get it, but I was like, okay.
Never heard of Inside Out Boy. That's a new one for me.
It was on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
All right.
Anyway, we cut back to the hospital where the girl that doesn't speak is working on an MC Escher puzzle.
That's Tiffany. That's the puzzle master, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said more aloud than she says in this entire movie, and I watched
Yes.
this movie alone.
Yep. She don't speak.
She's like Silent Bob in this movie.
She's like Gwen Stefani in her biggest hit.
You say tit?
No, hit the song Don't Speak,
Oh.
where she's Stevie Nicks' her boyfriend.
So we cut back to the doctor's house where she, meaning Bloody Julia, is standing in his very white living room, ruining every surface.
And she's wearing a nice white suit.
Well, he gives it to her because first she's
Yes,
naked
That's fair.
and
yeah.
punches the mirror. And then he like turns on the heater because she's cold and then gives her a suit and wine. And she just goes, why? After she drinks
He
it.
really earned his Red Wings that day.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Do
he
you think they
definitely
consummated the hell marriage?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I would wait till she had her skin on or whatever. Like,
Beauty's only skin deep, Todd.
If you
okay.
don't love me without my skin,
Okay.
you don't deserve
Yeah.
me with my skin.
You need to look deeper what's inside on the muscular skeleton level.
Listen,
Yes.
I just don't think I could perform under that circumstance.
What? What circumstance?
If Natalie had no skin on, that would not even be on my mind.
Anyway, he wraps her in bandages, so she's like a mummy in a dress. And she pushes him up against the wall, and they're making out. And he's like lifting her dress to like cup a butt cheek. And I'm like, what? No.
But she looks like she is Chevy Chase from Memoirs of the Invisible Man,
Yeah.
which is the only John Carpenter movie I had seen before we started this podcast.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not a good one.
I mean, I didn't love it.
Anyway, he also squeezes her boob. And I'm just like, boobs are fat. Like,
With a PH. You know what I'm talking
Hell
about?
yeah.
Yeah.
hell yeah. You wouldn't really have boobs or a butt if you were just muscles.
Maybe she's doing some squats and she does have a back caboose. You know what I'm saying?
I just didn't like when the blood squirted out of him.
That's not what comes out of a nipple, Mikey.
It is when
It is
you
if,
got no
it
skin.
is if you don't got no skin.
Or you're a vampire. I think we've been over this.
But this is kind of like the ears, right? So like you shouldn't have ears, right? So like the fatty tissue around your boobs and butt looks different than your musculature and sits on top of it. And instead they just have like boobs that are colored like muscles.
Yeah. Well, because she actually has boobs and she actually has her skin on. It's just like makeup effects. Yeah. So they had to do something. Like, I wasn't mad at that. Like, whatever. She actually does have a butt. Like, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Although, but if you do squats, that gluteus maximus muscle will like
That's true.
fill out. So like maybe that's what she's doing. I don't know.
I know that we were playing dodgeball and she couldn't be on my team.
Because you were playing shirts and skins.
Yeah, and I was skins.
We haven't even gotten to the weird part of this movie. Anyway.
What? The whole movie is weird. How dare you say something so factually incorrect?
Yeah, the movies we've just gotten to the part where I stopped understanding what was going on. Like, okay, she goes to a hospital. After this house stuff, I don't know what happens.
Well, anyway, okay, so she got no skin, and he squeezes her boobs, and she's like, now we just need skin. So we cut to Kirsten in the shower.
And he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's like, we needed skin 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. He should have been like, oh, I thought I gave you plenty of skin just a few minutes. Oh, I see. Oh,
Should
fine.
have been getting into who I'm giving skins to. Anyway, we cut to Kirsten in the shower, and Pervy Kyle, and she like gets out, and Pervy Kyle is just like, hey, I definitely wasn't watching you in the shower. Wink. We got to get you some clothes and get you out of here.
They're both very comfortable post shower. She's like, oh no, someone stole all my clothes. And he's like, I could get you clothes. I'm a doctor. And I was like, what is this movie? Those are real quotes, everyone.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell her, like, there's a lady there with no skin or whatever. And she's like, not again. And so they like... You might be wondering how I got into this. Yeah. So she's like, okay, let's go. And they're about to leave. And she's like, you don't have to do this. I was like, bitch, how'd you think you were going to get anywhere? Like, he's your ticket out of this hospital.
Right?
They both go.
Like, Kyle was already Dr. Pervy P.I. M.D. or whatever. And now he's just going to go sneak her behind the curtain. Literally, they come in behind the curtain in this scene.
Yes.
Is there a window, a door? Like, what is it?
This is not a good hospital.
Well, now I'm talking about the
they're going to
doctor's
the house.
Like Dr. Chenard or whatever.
Yeah.
There is no establishment of where anything is in this house.
We never see that house's front door from the inside. We also never see someone come into that house that's not from behind this specific curtain.
And we see the house outside. It is very clearly a mid-century single-story ranch. And then
they go
in the movie, they go upstairs.
I noticed that too. I was like,
what?
Is it like a Harry Potter tent? Like there's no upstairs from the outside. Whatever. Okay. All right.
They were playing by redeeming Love House rules. So
okay.
Anyway, but we see that the doctor has been bringing her like patients and people to eat. And she's just like sucking the life out of them through her mouth. Because what that mouth do, right?
I mean, that's what she does to Kyle, right? Like she kisses him and like sucks his face until he becomes nothing.
Well, we haven't gotten to that yet, but yes.
Yeah.
So the doctor just like watches and is just like, yes.
Yeah.
Skin. And at this point, I looked at the time on the movie because this movie is an hour and 40 minutes long. So it's like 100 minutes, give or take, right?
Yeah.
We've spent 43 minutes to get to this point in the movie.
Yes.
To just explain Julia's back and eating skin. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So we cut to Kirsten and Pervy Kyle split up. Julia runs into Pervy Kyle and is just like, oh, don't go in that room. It's so terrible. I don't even know what's happening. He's bringing it bodies, pretending like she's not the thing.
Yeah, like she just there for no reason. I would never trust that.
Right, and not calling somebody.
Yeah. And being like, Kirsten, your stepmother is here.
Right. Yeah. So he's like, well, I'm going to go see anyway. So he goes into the room with all the dead bodies, which, by the way, would fucking reek. The entire house would smell.
Yeah. You would have smelled that when you walked in. Yeah.
You would have been able to smell it from outside. Like, that's how bad it would be.
Yeah, probably. Because there's like 8 bodies strung up in there. Something like that. There's a lot of bodies. It's like a body jerky factory.
Yeah. Meanwhile, downstairs from the smoker house, she's going through binders and finds that old picture of Pinhead pre the pins. And she pins it to her Pinhead Pinterest board. And AKA her pocket, except I'll burn a fun fact here. When she goes to put it in her pocket, she misses. So she just folds the photo and slides it as if it's in her pocket. And because she doesn't hit the pocket, the photo just falls. It just slides down her jacket to the floor.
Awesome. Do you see it in the movie?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's very visible.
I did not notice that. That's hilarious.
It's really funny. Anyway, we cut back to the smokehouse where she just smokers Kyle with her mouth. And Kyle is very, very dead. And now she has his skin, which was kind of weird because I was like, I thought they were setting up pervy Kyle to be some sort of love interest, but no.
Thank God, honestly, though. I did like the way they did this because when you see Julia and they like reveal her back because she's in like a backless dress, you see like skin on most of it, but then like a part of no skin.
Right.
And then when she face sucks Kyle, it does a reveal of her back and now her back is full skin.
It's got all of it.
I was like, it would be so cool if they explained how any of this works.
Yet later, it works like a suit. So I don't really understand.
Right? How? Why? I don't understand it at all.
And I don't care, Todd, because I don't really have any skin in the game.
Oh, you son of a bitch. I love it.
You monsterella. So after she takes the photo downstairs from the office, she makes her way up to the smokehouse, finds all the bodies, and she just goes, and Julia is like, you always had good taste in men. I'm no longer the wicked stepmother. Now I'm the evil queen. Take your best shot, Snow White. I was like, what's she gonna do to, like, clearly she's some sort of weird immortal hell being. Like, what's Kirsten gonna do, right?
I'd still punch her.
I would probably just try and run, honestly. But yeah, like what?
Right? So the doctor comes back and he's like, now it's my turn, and brings her puzzle girl. Which basically he's expecting her to like open the puzzle box and distract the Cenobites long enough so that they can go through the MC Escher hallways, right?
Is that what the plan is?
I think
Yes,
so.
that's the plan.
We are to understand, Paige, ? That this doctor is smart enough to get through med school, but he can't solve this puzzle box. Tiffany is like 15 years old and she figures it out.
I think he built the puzzle box and then looked for someone good enough at puzzles that they could solve it.
He built his own?
Yes.
Is this canon? Like, how can that
No,
be?
I don't.
Okay.
No. I think he found. I think this is their puzzle box from the house.
Okay, but hear me out. This is what I think he did, where it kind of makes sense. I think she was always supposed to be bait. I think he can open the puzzle box and just doesn't want to pay for it. He doesn't want to die. He's thinking they'll take her, even though they don't, because they know better.
Yeah, they immediately focus on him.
Right.
Would have been a better movie. But yeah, I get it.
I wish they had explained something like that.
Same.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I think Julia was always intending to double cross him, right?
Yeah.
And so I think Julia told him enough about the Cenobites to kind of help with some of this plan, some of it, because she comes in kind of late. But she knew that they would follow him.
I definitely buy that. Yeah.
And I think she is waiting for them to, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he sets up Tiffany with the box and she opens it. It takes for fucking ever. It's one of the longest sequences in the movie.
I love that almost every time you see the puzzle box moving, it is absolutely not being touched by the person moving it. They are just holding it in their hand. There's only one move that the box can actually do, and they do show that. But everything else is just like a little box that is like a mechanical instrument that's just doing its thing.
Yep. And it goes on forever. But she opens it, and they watch through like a two-way mirror, right?
Yeah.
The doors open, and of course, Tiffany opens it, but also Kirsten is there in the house, right?
Yeah.
So the Cenobites come in with Pinhead, and they're about to take Tiffany, and he's like, no, it is not hands that call us, it's desire. And he looks to the broken mirror and knows that that's where Julia and the doctor have taken off, right?
Yeah.
So the box resets and closes. Kirsty wakes up on the floor, clearly now on the other side / horny hell, as the walls start to break away. She makes her way to the office where she finds the puzzle box and goes down the hall calling for her dad. Now, also, Tiffany is also in the hallways just wandering. She wanders through this carnival thing where she enters a house of mirrors. This serves as kind of a recap for her backstory, where her mom brought her to this doctor because she was obsessive about her puzzles. And the doctor was like, oh, I'll take care of her. I found my puzzle person, and then kills her mom.
Yeah. Like it's implied sort of right in front of her, too.
Yes, right in front of her. Yes.
I mean, we already knew the doctor was a monster, but he's even more of one. Yeah.
Anyway, so we cut to Kirsten's running through the maze, and she finds what looks to be her childhood house. She goes inside, there's pictures of her mom, but then they turn to pictures of Julia, and then they're covered in blood. Because in this movie, when you don't know what else to do, cover it in blood. Like, that's the whole ethos of this film. It's just like, I don't know, put some blood on it.
I did love when she was holding the picture that turned into Julia, then covered in blood, and she dropped it. We hear it break, but it clearly cuts away
Yes.
before it breaks, and that to me was funny. I wonder if they couldn't get it to break with the blood on top of it or whatever.
I think the blood's inside it. I think it's actually a plastic frame with blood inside it so that if you tip it, it fills.
And so they can do it over and over, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering. If it was
yes.
because of the practicality of that effect, they couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But the hutch crashes.
Yes.
The kitchen hutch that she's...
They're actually on a TV show in hell, and it's called You Can't Say That on Hell.
You can't say that on hell.
What could you not say in hell? Nice.
You can't say all the replacement words. So fiddlesticks.
Oh, yeah. Mother, father.
You have to curse.
Yeah, mother, father, right? All the replacements are
Dadgummit.
I guess I'm doing really deep Nickelodeon cuts this episode is all.
I don't know why. There's nothing else Nickelodeon about this. This is just you.
Well, I mean, there is an aggro crag in the sky in this.
Yeah.
That is true. Do you have it? Blood.
If there were blurry people fucking, it's pretty much Legends of the Hidden Temple as well in the background.
In the beginning, when man and women, just Olmec explaining the birds
It's
and the bees.
the Lord of the Labyrinth, Armac.
Olmec.
Olmec.
So the hutch falls over and it's full of roaches and it's super gross. And then she's back all of a sudden with the Cenobites. And they're just like, hey girl, we have a cinnamon roll with your name on
Hey
it.
girl, hey, here's some gibberish I might say.
Yo.
They seem mad she tricked them last movie, and then I was like,
But they
you
didn't.
did not
She didn't really
show
trick
us
her.
that part.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened. So sure, Pinhead.
Well, and they're like, you keep wanting to play, but then you say that you don't. So what's? But that flies in the face and the hands of the desire versus hands.
The desire's willing, but the hands are tired. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, the body is willing, but the hands have carpal tunnel.
I think this is the scene where Pinhead says to her, we have eternity to know your flesh.
Yeah.
What is that? That doesn't mean anything. Does he mean
whisper that to your
biblically?
partner in bed?
Does he mean he's going to skin her and fuck that skin? What does that
Probably.
even mean?
I don't know, but the next time you have sexual congress with another person, lean over and just say that to them, I'm going to take it slow because I've got eternity to know your flesh. Just see what happens.
I'm going to work I have eternity to know your flesh into my wedding vows.
Well,
Oh,
mine will be
no.
if I'm in the middle of it, I'll be out of breath, so I'll be like, I've got eternity to know your flesh.
Anyway, she's like, I didn't open a box. And they're like, excuses. And she's like, I'm here to find my father. And they're like, yeah, he's not here. This is your hell, bitch.
I'm sorry, princess. Your father's in another horny hell.
Your father's in another horny hell? Your father's in another sex dungeon.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to witness the binding of these two souls in sacred, painful marriage.
And do you, Todical, have eternity to know your flesh? Anyway, they just let her run away. They're just like, no, we'll eat that pussy later, bye. And so she runs away.
They have eternity to do so, they say.
They have eternity to do so, whether it's attached to her or not.
If it's attached, that does not sound like hell to me. It's all I'm going to say about that part of it.
Yeah. No, they want to take it off and post it on their weird torture box.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Yeah.
So, meanwhile, Julie and the doctor are walking around with tons of babies crying. I don't understand the baby cryings.
Paige, I don't understand the full doll they show like it's a real baby in this movie.
Sewing its own mouth shut.
Yeah. This very Teddy Ruxpin-y looking doll, it looks 0% like a baby.
Yeah, and it's also sewing its own mouth shut. And I'm like, babies don't have fine motor skills.
No.
They don't go to hell either.
Debatable depending upon what branch you believe in, I think.
True. Anyway, we walk through an orgy room. It's a very strange orgy room where there's dudes on hooks, right? And there's a lady in the middle, but one of the dudes is facing away. So he and the lady are just butt to butt. And I was like, this seems like it's not as fun.
I do think if you were super into orgies and were in hell, it would be this kind of orgy though. butt to butt, can't really see each other, nothing's really happening.
Yeah. But as they're watching, the face changes to Julia, and then she interrupts him and is just like, come, I've come. I have such sights to show you.
And he's like, too late.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, don't put
just
pressure
give me
on
another couple minutes watching this hook orgy and I'll come all you want. Anyway, we cut to Kirsten running through the halls, and she flops against one of the walls, and because it's clearly paper, it moves behind her.
Yes, it does.
And it's very obvious and really funny to watch.
It honestly looks like the texturized styrofoam that they use for like literal stage productions at like high schools.
Yep.
Like it looked like that, but close up on film so you can really tell it's that.
Yep.
But that's why it moved, because it wasn't a wall.
Yeah, but this is Kirsten and Tiffany run into each other, and now they're joining forces, right?
Yeah, they team up.
Meanwhile, we cut back to Julia, who is walking the doctor through more hallways and across a very obvious matte painting of them walking around along the hallways.
Yeah.
Then she takes him out to the, like, you know, in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where there's that one portion where he like throws dust out over the thing where he's the path of
the
God.
Leap of faith.
Yeah, I
The
love
leap
that
of faith.
shot. It's so cool.
Yeah, this is a way less cool version of that, where it's just this like walkway in the sky with a swirling diamond thing in the sky. And this is where Julia is like, this is my God, flesh and hunger and desire, Leviathan, Lord of the Labyrinth, which I guess means that square in the sky is some sort of old God that governs desire.
Yeah. If I die and go to heaven and God's a floating
Box.
geometry box or whatever, I'm gonna be like, huh, not what I was expecting.
More eyes, really, was what I was thinking. So the floating God box shoots laser lights at the doctor, and he gets electrocuted and just sees like a flash of wild pictures, which I think is meant to imply that he is a murderer and has been before, because there's like a scene of him maybe killing somebody. It's confusing.
I think he's killed a lot of people. Yeah.
We sort of saw him kill Tiffany's mother, and like he hits Tiffany with that. It's sort of like a black spotlight sort of thing.
Yeah.
And she has a flashback too. So I think this is a flashback that he is seeing of murders he's done. Yes.
I think so too. That was my thinking.
Yeah. This was probably the most logical thing in the entire movie.
Right. And so this is where Julia is like, this is what you wanted. You wanted to see and know Leviathan. And here's what happens when you try to ascend to goddom. It shows you how fucking mortal you fucking are. And he's just like, help me. And she's like, why do you think I was allowed to come back? He wanted souls, so I brought you. And then she pushes him into the box full of needles and blowjobs.
Yeah.
And she's just like, you wanted to know, and now you know everything. Everybody's happy. Bye.
Yeah, this is where he goes and gets turned into a Cinnabon.
Right. It's the oven where they time them perfectly so you can smell them as you come out of Claire's after getting your ears pierced. Don't get your ears pierced at Claire's. If there's anything you take away from this Hellraiser episode, is go to a professional piercer and then just go get Cinnabon after. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the girls are walking around and they find what appears to be Kirsten's father's house, the house that we saw from the first movie. And Tiffany's like, don't go in there, but doesn't say anything because she still isn't talking, because she doesn't speak until an hour and 20 minutes into the film.
It drove me insane.
Anyway, Kirsten's like, I kind of have to go in there, so I'm going to go. So Tiffany's like, don't go in there, but with her eyes.
Yes.
And Kirsten's like, I'm going to go, but if I'm not back, go out, get home. And I'm like, how though? Like, she doesn't fucking know how to get home. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't understand any of this. Yeah.
I also would leave immediately. Like, if Mikey and I were walking out of hell and he was like, oh, that looks like my childhood home, I'm going to go check that out. I'd be like, okay. And I would just continue walking out of hell.
I'm going to go try and talk to that God box and see if I can get home, like whatever.
You think my real dad's in there? You'd be like, no, we're in hell. And I'd be like, you're right. Let's just keep walking.
He's definitely here. No, I'm kidding.
There he is.
He showed up finally.
There he is with those cigarettes he said he was getting.
So she goes into her house, right? Or what she thinks is her house. And it opens into some weird candle sexy morgue.
Yeah, I would say that is the perfect description of it.
This is the best room in hell so far.
Yeah. This room in hell is the only room in hell that kind of fucks.
Well,
pretty
Red Skull's
awesome.
like, this is my personal hell because these women's bodies disappeared before I touched
Yes,
them. And I was
if you lift the sheet, they disappear.
welcome to my life. You know what I'm saying?
Waka waka.
Also, those sheets are soaked in blood, which I realize sounds gross, but because of that, they're like very stuck to the woman
Yes.
under them's body.
It's like a wet t-shirt contest, but with blood.
And there's no way he hasn't peeled the skin off a few times to just their outlines. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Mikey, you like that peeled the skin off euphemism for masturbation?
I know what's up.
Yeah.
I like what's going on.
Yeah.
So who should show up but her Uncle Frank? And so clearly he's the one who left the message, right?
Yeah.
And now the morgue is considerably more bloody, considerably less sexy, maybe? I don't know. Depends on how you feel about blood. Anyway.
Yeah.
Uncle Frank is trying to like kill her, but also kiss her. It's gross.
Well, she kisses him in this scene.
She, I think, tries to get his cheek and ends up getting part of his mouth, but it's to kind of like trick him into letting her move away.
So she can grab the sheet that literally ignites the whole room on fire in seconds.
Yes, because she's like, I'll do anything, and goes to like, makes it look like she's going to lay down on one of the morgue things, but instead burns the sheet, right?
Yeah.
And everything burns. But instead of screams, it's just moans. So like there's a fire going, people are just like, oh, yes. Oh.
Yeah, they're screaming like they just got to a special part of Tchaikovsky's Fifth.
Oh my gosh. LA's great, isn't it?
I heard the audio of her and she fully like
Oh, yeah.
at the big build goes, oh.
Yeah.
As the music is not there anymore.
Yup.
So that's all you hear.
Although people had really built it up, and when I heard the audio, I was like, I mean, are her needs being met?
I think they were currently being met, Paige.
Yeah. Anyway, so the LA Philharmonic is playing and everything's on fire and everyone's moaning. And he starts to peel off his own skin and he's just like, not my skin.
Oh, I thought it was melting off.
Oh, maybe it is melting. That makes sense.
Because he's saying not my skin, like he doesn't want to lose it. Like if he was pulling it off, he wouldn't want to.
But he looks like he's pulling it off. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. It's whatever. But in my mind, it melted off. And then the next thing you see a close-up of him in, fully red skulled out right here. He's fully like no skin, but he has like a tank top on still. And I was
Yes.
like, what? Was it hot enough to melt his skin off? But like the tank top withstanded hell heat?
It's his lucky tank top, Todd.
Uncle Frank's a bad guy.
They had a sexual relationship.
Yes, they did.
It was pretty hot, actually. If he hadn't been evil and pervy.
Right. That's what all the ladies say after I leave.
Good feedback.
Good feedback.
4 stars. Excellent sex. Seemed evil though? Definitely pervy.
Kind of pervy. Seemed kind of evil though. I don't know. Lots of chanting. Anyway, so he's like a bloody thing again. And who should show up but Julia with Tiffany? And he's just like, oh, hey Julia, I knew you'd come back. And he like leans in to kiss her, and I think he's gonna try and take her skin, but she's just like, no. Like, duh, nothing personal. Because she just reaches inside him and pulls out his heart. So he's dead.
She like Kali Ma's him.
Yeah.
But like if you die in hell, do you just like go to heaven?
Yeah.
Does the cube decide? Is it carousel like Logan's Run? I don't know. None of this is answered.
Let the cube decide is what I say. And by the cube, I mean the cube from the movie The Cube. So it's like a maze that he has to go through.
Hypercube.
Yes. And then if he gets out, he can go to heaven. He gets a free pass. Heck yeah. It's all made up anyway. Let's just have fun.
What if the cube is made of cheese?
Is it jack and cheese?
It's Jack and Cheddar.
Jack and cheddar,
She's
damn it, yeah.
Judge Judy and executioner. Anyway, so while she's killing Frank, the 2 girls take off
Right.
and try to run away from her. They accidentally drop the like weird diamond that used to be the puzzle box, right?
Yeah.
So as they're running, the hallway that kind of crosses them perpendicular opens up, and it's this like windy thing that's trying to blow them out towards the big cube in the sky.
Yes.
Like a big pizza pie. That's on it.
When a cube eats your eye like a big pizza pie. That's Leviathan.
I did a musical joke.
You did,
You
Mikey.
did.
And I'm so proud of you.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Julia picks up the diamond box thing. As that's happening, some giant thing comes up, and apparently it's the box, the blowjob and needle box that the doctor was in. And it opens, and it's him all sliced up, and he's like, and to think I hesitated, but now I know everything, pleasure and pain. And you're just like, God damn it. All right,
I know.
fine.
I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
And he's blue, which I like.
And he's blue. And then there's just this giant bug penis thing that has like a drill at the end of it that just like Paco jets his brain. And then penis lifts him through the rest of the movie.
And from this point on, the doctor is dead. Like, he is no longer around. Like, this is fully a different character.
Yes.
He becomes like razor face penis head. I don't know.
He's a penis puppet.
Yeah.
We've all seen him. We know what he's talking about.
We've all seen puppetry of the penis.
We've all made a puppet out of our own penis to entertain our significant others.
I've done it twice.
I've done that many times. Have you ever, Mikey, you ever done the, have you seen my towel gag?
I get the Micro Machine Millennium Falcon, and then you know that scene in Return of the Jedi where they're in the asteroid and then the thing comes out and almost chases them? Phage knows.
This is elaborate. Did you have to build a set?
Yeah,
Where
it was
it
a
comes
diorama.
out of the hole?
Yeah, it was a yeah.
Mikey, I believe it's a dickorama, please.
Dickorama, yeah.
You're bringing like cinematography into it. I'm just like hanging towels on myself.
Because I'm a thoughtful lover.
I don't know what you think your partner is getting out of that other than amusement and a cool story.
I mean, honestly, that's enough for me to want to do that, though. I'll do almost anything to make Natalie laugh.
Well, I do a fake scroll in front of the shoebox before I put my penis in.
The Galactic Empire has seen a penis of great magnitude.
Suddenly, my penis has returned.
Penis Patine is back.
And then I'm like, well, it's all downhill from here. This is the most creative this lovemaking will be.
Step 1, it's a puzzly box. Step 2, put your dick in that box. Step 3, make her open the box. And that's the way we kill you. It's an evil box.
Pinhead. Dig in a box. Sorry.
Cenobites. Put your junk in that box. Yeah.
Razor face.
Cinnabon in the box. And that's the way you do it. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
So Julia comes down the hallway after the two girls, picks up the thing, and is trying to pull them out into the hallway thingy. So Kirsten is trying to keep Tiffany away from her. Tiffany sees that Julia has the puzzle thing. So she grabs onto Julia. Kirsten grabs onto Tiffany. And they somehow deglove Julia from her skin and then end up with the little puzzle thing.
I love that you just had to explain that because it is a bonkers scene. But my favorite bit of it is when they grab Julia and then start to pull her over to where they are. She, like you said, degloves from herself. And then they then have like a handful of Julia's skin.
Yes.
And then it cuts to Julia like going into whatever's being sucked out there, right? But if you look at it, it clearly is like an inflatable sex toy falling down a shaft.
Yes.
And that to me was so funny.
Todd very much said that with the confidence of a man who has watched more than one sex toy falling down his shaft.
Have I thrown away sex objects out of shame? Maybe.
You haven't lived unless you've thrown away a sex toy down an abandoned elevator shaft in a dark building.
I was trying to explain it to my friends in high school. I was like, no, I mean, I just used it so much she popped. You know what I'm saying?
It's like sharp at the end. You know, the girls like that. Anyway, so they actually don't grab the diamond thing from her. They just have her skin.
No, they leave it in the hallway, which is a plot point. Yeah.
They do, because they end up seemingly back in their hospital room. Everything seems to be okay, except there's the MC Escher painting on the wall.
Yeah. If you look in that scene where they walk into this hospital room again from hell, it's clear that there are two suns wherever they are.
Right.
Tatooine.
Because there are two sunspots on the wall. I was like, this is bonkers.
Yes. Well, and this is also where Kirsten's like, Dad, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, that wasn't your dad. Like, this is just leftover dialogue
It's
for
gotta
a plot
be,
that
right?
is no longer in this film. Yeah. So they're like, we got to get out of there. And I was like, what, are they just going to straight up walk out of the hospital? And they try to, but the clouds cover. They're clearly not really in the hospital.
They're still in hell, right? Like, they have to still be in hell. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still in hell. They end up in a room where everyone's playing with puzzle boxes and everyone's covered in hooks. And here comes the doctor on his penis train of madness, just like penised up in the air.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I recommend amputation. And he's got little like snakes out of his
It's
hands
so-
that also have blades.
One becomes a flower for some reason.
And then one becomes a finger, like, come here, like the come hither motion.
which he had a finger. It was just so unnecessary.
I know, it literally is coming out of his hand as a snake,
Yes.
and then out of that snake's mouth is his human finger.
And in that finger, a snake.
And the hole in the ground and the tree in the hole. Anyway, it's definitely feels like they were brainstorming creepy things and then we're like, let's just do all of it.
Yeah, let's just control
And
all.
put it on a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like amputating, and I was like, again, isn't he a psychiatrist? Like not a,
No, he's a surgeon.
I mean, he is a surgeon. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to Cenobites with no boxes. And this is where like Tiffany's there. Kirsten is there.
Yeah.
Penis doctor is there.
Yeah.
And this is where Kirsten's like, they're like, time for us to have your flesh. Even though we said we had eternity, we're impatient. And she's like, no deals, just information. You used to be human. I know. Here's a picture of you. How did she figure that out and put 2 and 2 together? Who's to say? It's not important. It's not in the movie.
We will never know.
Educated guess.
Yeah.
Yes. So she hands it to him and he's like, wait, I do remember. And the doctor,
He's believing.
he's believing, Peter. So the doctor starts shooting the other Cenobites and they all turn human kind of as he shoots them.
He shoots them with snake swords, so
Yes.
there's that.
With like force lightning. And then he shoots force lightning at Pinhead's head where he turns back into himself with a very strange hairline and then he slits his throat.
Yes. So I guess he kills all the Cenobites in hell.
they come
He
back.
does.
They come back the next
They
movie.
do.
Well, I mean, they're in hell. Like, I can't imagine if you die in hell, you get out of hell.
I
Like,
think you go to Tartarus.
I think it's just Costco on a weekend or IKEA anytime. Anyway, so the doctor's like, now I'm the lead dude and you girls will be my first solving puzzles and doing whatever. And I'm just like, what? Why?
Yeah, I was like, what's the motivation here?
I don't know, but they take off running. Everyone in the puzzle room is super dead. They run back through all the hallways. They grab the diamond box because Tiffany's like first lines are like, we got to do the puzzles. And she's just like, is that all you think about? We degloved a lady and then they shot all these people.
some
Like,
people are just super into puzzles, Paige.
It relaxes them.
Yeah.
I guess. So she gets the diamond puzzle thing and goes out onto that walkway near the giant diamond in the sky. And she's like trying to solve it and it blasts her with light. And we see some of her flashbacks.
When you say it blasts her with light, it's actually blasting her with like black light,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of a cool effect for the time.
I feel like if it's going to be sex hell, then he should be finger blasting her with light. Hey-oh.
I'm not sure she's old enough for that.
I don't know. Who's to say? No one knows how old she is.
Not me, for sure. I'm not touching
What
that
are
at
the
all.
age of consent laws in hell? 18. 18 was the answer.
Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Penis Fingers comes up and tries to kill Kirsty.
They call me Dr. Dick Finger.
Dick Finger!
Oh, he's got a dick on his fingered hands. Sorry.
You'll never get away, Mr. Bond.
He's just petting a hairless cat with dick fingers.
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to come.
Oh, there you go.
Paige, I fucking love you so much.
Anyway, so as he's fighting Kirsty, he gets his little snake fingers with the blades stuck in the ground, but the penis thing that controls his head is like, I ain't stopping for no bitch, and just like moves and tears his head in half.
Yeah, that dick blows his mind, guys. Like, it like pulls his head apart, like at the jaw.
Don't like
Yeah.
it.
And that's after he's like, surgery is open. What's today's agenda? Evisceration. And they're just like, no.
I like, we get it. You sound just like a dialect. Calm down.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Tiffany, as she's trying to avoid him and trying to solve the puzzle, ends up hanging off the side of the platform. And so Julia comes up and is like, trust me, and helps her up, and her like one of her skin hands rips off, but she pulls her up. And then she takes her skin off, and it turns out that it's Kirsty wearing Julia's skin.
It was me the whole time.
It was me the whole time.
I became my stepmother to save you.
Hot.
How long would it have taken to put that skin on? Like fingers, toes, like so long.
So long.
If it's like a wetsuit, probably not that long.
But I mean, she also had to apply that strip across the vocal cords that makes her voice fully change too.
Boom, ba-dum, bum,
When she
ba-dum.
takes that skin face off and it's just her bloody face, I was like, this movie's the best.
This is the part of the movie where I was like sort of here for it because it did fully just commit to the crazy.
It does, because the sky diamond turns into a box that shoots light, and I think are souls because they make sounds. So maybe it's releasing all the souls that were trapped in the box. Anyway, they run back to the hospital and they make it just as the doors close around them. And everyone in the hospital is just like fucking gone. There's like a bunch of wreaths for all of the dead patients. And then they just like walk out of the hospital. Like they're like, oh, we just checked ourselves out. Bye.
Yeah. And they have like changed and they like showered. They like took their sweet ass time.
Yeah.
Because when they're walking away, they're dressed pretty great.
Yeah. It's a good look.
Well, it's not a great hospital.
Yeah, it's clearly.
The guy's like, well, maybe this is where all the people are disappearing to. I don't know. It's not my job to keep track. I just work the front desk.
We found like 30 other people on the maintenance floor. Turns out no one ever went down there.
I'm still trying to find my other maintenance coworkers.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the doctor's house, movers are moving all the boxes and they get to the mattress room. Now, if you, as a mover, just encountered a room with a bloody mattress and blood everywhere and dead bodies, would you not immediately be like, I'm going to call this in, I think?
Absolutely. Even if the blood was like so dry, but this blood is like fresh. Like he touches it.
He touches it.
Like, and it comes up on his finger. Like,
Not me, buddy. I'm paid to move, not to think. You know what I'm saying?
what are you, Drew from Drew's Movers? That was the name of the company. I was like, okay, one of these dudes is Drew.
No questions asked moving.
So when what happens to this guy happens, and the arms grab him or whatever, and the other mover walks up the steps, I wanted the movie to end with just, Drew! Because it was Drew that died.
Now who will move us? Because what happens is that Drew gets too close to the mattress and it just like eats him, and a
Yes.
giant torture box that is not rotoscoped well comes out of the mattress with like a bunch of faces and a set of skeletons that are like humping on it.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Well, there's also like a flayed penis that's like ripped in half too. Yeah.
There's just like a weird baby.
Does this prop still exist somewhere?
Not that I could find. And some guy on the side of the box just says, "What is your pleasure, sir?"
And thank God that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what'd you guys think about Hellbound, Hellraiser II?
No notes. Makes complete sense.
I do like it way more than the first one. I don't like it a lot.
It
though.
made more sense than Tenet.
Well, that's because it made some sense. I'm hoping that the rest of them really lead into the campiness and much less pretensionness of it. And I think I'll enjoy them more.
Dude, you are not ready for 8. But also, like, after 4 or 5, it's just bad horror movies that they just, like, copy-paste Pinhead into.
That actually makes... Yeah, that makes me excited
kind of
to
fun.
watch those. Yeah, because of course they'll be bad.
Yes.
But they won't be like pretentious and like nothing making sense. And
I mean, nothing's going to make sense, but no one's going to be dickish about it.
yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, but every bit of dialogue the Cenobites say is just gibberish.
I think it makes the most sense. It connects to everything, and you just don't get it, okay?
All right, my 15-year-old nephew, I get it.
This movie's poetry, okay?
Jesus wept!
Oh, God.
And that was her dad who said that, right?
No, it was Frank, I think.
I thought it was Frank.
Is it Frank? I don't think I'll watch it again, but it was nice.
Yeah, unless we revisit it, we'll not watch it again. But I did like it more than the first one.
You know what? It's bonkers.
It is.
And it's bonkers in kind of a fun way. So, like, I could see myself talking somebody into watching it because it's madness.
I would watch it with people. It's definitely a Mike.
Yeah.
They swing hard.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're swinging, but they swing at it really hard.
If we could have watched this in Kansas City, I would have probably enjoyed it way more because we would have been making fun of it together.
The entire time.
Yeah, but it's not super fun to watch by yourself, at least for me. But Paige, you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Pinhead fun facts.
So, originally, Clive Barker had elaborate backstories for all of the Cenobites in the first film, and a lot of them are, again, in this film, but they were never explored on film. So he wanted to make sure in this one, at least the audience understood that they used to be human and that their own vices led to their becoming demons. And it was supposed to underline the story of Frank and Julia with their corruption by lust. And this is also how Julia was supposed to become the ultimate villain. She was going to be like the Cenobite of all Cenobites. However, Pinhead was more popular. There is a subplot detailing the origins of Pinhead, and it was deleted in pre-production for last-minute budget cuts, and all that remains of it is the prologue in this film, and then they explore it a little bit in the next film.
Okay.
So, Andrew Robinson, who played the father in the previous film, refused to reprise his role, forcing hasty script rewrites and muddled story structure of this film.
Well, that's probably because they didn't have much time, so they used what we will now refer to as Chat GPT in the 80s, cocaine.
Right, exactly.
And it just powered them through it. Yeah.
Powered him through it. Now, Oliver Smith played Frank without skin in the first film because he had a very skinny frame, so the body makeup looked realistic and didn't look too bulky on him.
Yeah.
So he reprised his role in this, along with he plays the skinless person on the floor in the hospital, and he plays the patient with delusional parasitosis.
Okay.
So he plays basically anyone that's not Julia that takes their skin off. It's that guy.
Yeah.
This film, along with Titanic, holds the record for the most times two characters repeat each other's names. Tiffany, Christy.
That's wild because Tiffany says almost 0 lines in this entire movie.
I know. So Kenneth Cranham, who plays Shenard, who was also in Hot Fuzz, by the way,
He was also in a lot. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in HBO's Rome. Like, he's so good.
Yes, he was so good in Rome.
Yeah.
But he only took this job because his grandson pestered him to take it because he liked the original.
Man. Okay.
Yes. The Chatterer, who was one of the Cenobites, received a hook to the jaw while filming the scene with his character being impaled on a swinging torture rack. He is okay.
Oh, good.
That's terrible, though. I bet that hurt.
I bet it hurt like a bitch.
Yeah.
He also requested that his character have eyes in this film so he could see walking through sets, because in the previous film, his character had no eyes.
Yeah,
and
I remember
kept walking into walls. Now, in this movie, there was supposed to be a scene that explained how he got eyes, but it was removed from the final cut. So it's really confusing the first time he appears in this movie and has no eyes, and then suddenly has eyes. And a lot of fans were kind of upset with it.
I could see that. But, I mean, let the guy see. None of it makes sense. Who cares if he has eyes?
Yeah, who cares? So this was supposed to have a much, much larger budget, but it got decreased because the film studio who had greenlit it was basically going bankrupt at the time, which is part of how this ended up on Roger Ebert's most hated list.
That does not surprise me.
Now, the engineer is a character from the books, and it was meant to appear in this film, but was deleted. Some of its scenes did appear in older previews as kind of a big bad over Julia, more of like a sentient god being. I think maybe it would make more sense if they left that in. But
so like a Leviathan type character that wasn't a giant floating diamond in the sky?
Wasn't a giant cube. Yeah.
I like
Okay.
Yep. Now, this movie was banned in Queensland in Australia in 1989, and in the years since, the ban has been lifted and the film has been released. But for many years, you could not see this in Queensland.
Why?
Unless you had like a bootleg copy. It's a video nasty. It was too gory.
Okay. I mean, it is pretty gory. I mean, and the effects do look great.
Yes. Now, so the look of the labyrinth, and this is a no-brainer, but it was influenced by MC Escher.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much MC Escher in this movie, that it is very blatant and obvious. And so originally in the end, Julia was supposed to rise from the mattress as the queen of hell, but they switched it out when Pinhead got more popular, and that's when they put that badly rotoscoped torture box over it.
Yeah.
The Kenneth Branagh, Dr. Chenard, couldn't sit in the rig required for the weird penis head Cenobite, so he only appears as the character in close-up shots, and his stuntman did all of the moving shots of that character.
Oh, man. Okay. I bet that sucks to be that stuntman. I mean, but I get it. Like,
Yeah. Also, when he is pushed into the needles and blowjob boxes for a moment, it does resemble specifically Francis Bacon's painting Figure with Meat. And the painting is the same one that is slashed or nearly slashed to bits by the Joker's henchman in the art museum in Batman that came out the next year.
okay.
So just a fun coincidence.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. What do you think the production budget for Hellbound: Hellraiser II was in 1988?
88, I'm going to say 2 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say 4.
So the budget I have is $6 million.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah. So if you adjust that for inflation to today's dollars, that's $15.3 million. But in 88, it was $6 million. Now, this movie premiered on December 23rd, 1988. It was number 8 in the theaters the week it came out. It was beat by the number 1 movie, Twins, the number 2 movie, Rain Man. Number 3 was Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad. Number 4 was Working Girl. And number 5 was Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And then Scrooged, Oliver and Company. And then Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 was 8th. What do you think it made in its opening weekend? And again, that was December 23rd, 1988.
That's kind of the wrong season for this.
It's the wrong season, but a lot of people go to movies around this time.
They do.
Yeah, I understand why it may not have been ready for like the Halloween season and they didn't want to wait until the next year.
Yeah.
$2 million.
Okay. What do you think, Paige?
I'm gonna go 3 million.
Paige, you're very close. It's $3.1 million it made in its opening weekend. Now, it was 8th the first week, and it was 10th the next 2 weeks, and then it dropped to 23rd, and then it was no longer in theaters. So it was only in theaters for a month, more or less. What do you think it made in the month it was in theaters domestically?
10 million.
All right. Mikey, what do you think?
8.
It actually made $11.6 million. So, Paige, you were closer. Which if you adjust that for inflation to today's dollars, that would be like a movie making $30 million today, roughly. So it made money, didn't make a lot of money. I mean, they've made 90 of these, so yeah. I think they probably do continue to make money, but this one definitely made money in theaters, and I'm sure has made money as it's become this cult classic kind of thing people rent and buy. So yeah, I'm sure it's made plenty of money. But that's your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, our scary scale listener is a scale of 1 to 10 of how scary we found the film today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This is a 2 for me because of the body horror. The body horror in this movie is extreme.
Yeah, exact same reason, exact same score. A 2 for me as well, because that body horror, man.
It didn't look real for me. I'm going to give it a 1.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it really, outside of that, is not scary. So, honestly, if just gore doesn't bother you, it would be a 1, too.
Yeah.
But honestly, gore normally doesn't bother me, but this movie, does it right. And the practical effects look great.
I was on a lot of medicine.
That's fair.
That's the scary scale.
All right. Well, this week, you all made me watch Hellbound: Hellraiser 2. What are you making us watch next week?
Next week, we actually have a special guest, and they got to choose. So it's actually a prequel in sequel month.
Yes.
Because we have already done the sequel.
Yeah, we already did the sequel, and there isn't one after the sequel. So if you know the catalog we've done really well, you probably can guess. We're doing Interview with a Vampire next week.
Finally.
Yeah.
I remember it being very good, so
yeah,
I hope it holds up.
This is one I've actually seen before, too. And we'll also have a very special guest.
Yay.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
Yeah, this person named Paige's Pattern Dresses.
Okay, I'm sensing someone's a fan of somebody specifically on the podcast.
Title of review, Mikey's Giggle.
Oh, okay. So she's made a reference to Paige's dresses and Mikey's giggle. I would imagine that the body of the review has something to do with me. So she hits all of the host because she loves us all equally.
Well, not really.
Okay. Well, let's just see what she says.
I generally hate the sound of men laughing.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
But Mikey's little giggle is one of my favorite sounds. 5 stars.
I also love Mikey's giggle. So fully agree with you. Paige's pattern dresses. And thank you so much for that 5-star review. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, give us a 5-star review. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24 and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week. So just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. And if you haven't noticed, since October 1st, we have been running the new Horror Virgin blog. And when I say we, I really mean Katie from the Facebook group. She's been running everything. She's like the managing editor of the Horror Virgin blog. So if you haven't been to our Horror Virgin blog, go check it out. It's at horrorvirgin.com/blog. You'll see it. It's awesome. There's a lot of great articles. I mean, at the end of October, we have 31 awesome articles up, but check out our awesome Horror Virgin blog up now. This episode was brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been like driving her crazy this week. So how has Tia's teenager been driving her crazy this week?
She keeps doing puzzle boxes.
Puzzle boxes after puzzle boxes after puzzle boxes, and then expects Tia to like feed all these Cenobites that keep showing up.
Yeah, so Tia, I'm so sorry your teenager's doing that, but I definitely understand why you're frustrated. This episode also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan wants me to make you guys see some videos. So I'm going to steal your screens and play that video for you now. All right. This is from TikTok. Oh, and it's someone in a mall playing The Kids Aren't All Right by The Offspring.
Cool.
Can you hear that? It's actually...
I can hear it.
It's really well done.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I'm just into this. Yeah, this is just cool. Well, Jonathan, that was pretty dope. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the support and sending us cool, fun Offspring music videos. We now return you to another episode of The Patreonicals.
Welcome back to the Patreonicals.
All right. I'm feeling it today, Mikey.
Me too, buddy.
You're feeling a little bit better tonight. I can tell. You're not fully over it, but you're getting over it. I'm excited.
All right. Captain Bruder gets actually Sunzi was like, Captain, we're getting a distress call. And Captain Bruder's like, put it on the main screen or whatever.
Put it on screen.
They're like, oh, it's a planet. It needs our help. So we go. They're like, let's go. And so they go to this planet.
This is very Star Trek vibes, and I love it.
Okay. Well, they get down there, and it's a planet that's already been conquered by the Mun.
Oh, man. They work quickly.
Well, they have a whole empire out there. They're just an evil empire.
The one that Rage Against the Machine warned us about.
Yeah. And they get out. And Jeremy with the laser's eyes was like, my laser eyes can help you. And they're like, they're not here yet. They killed billions of our people because we would not submit to their rule. and we're really sad.
The Muns are hardcore, man.
Yeah. And Isaac, who's no longer a cannibal.
Right, because the genie cured him of his cannibalism.
Yeah. He gets out and just hugs a guy. And he's like, I have no desire to eat you whatsoever. And that guy's like, that's weird.
This is a weird first thing to say to somebody, but I'm glad to hear this news.
Yeah. And Kate gets out and is like helping them rebuild. There's like a couple hundred survivors and they're helping them rebuild a building or whatever.
Sure, and I prefer to picture her doing this on roller skates because that's what she got from the genie last time.
She's not going to bring them out right now because they could get scuffed up. This is like a battle-torn planet. Yeah.
Okay.
She's just using her mind powers to do stuff.
That makes sense. She's not like a car hop at Sonic.
Yeah. Dreskel comes out with his Iron Man suit and he's helping with rebuilding stuff. Allie the mermaid stays in the ship.
Well, she just got her like decked out new room with like
Yeah, she's kind of a princess.
the treasure chest and the sexy scuba standee. Yeah, it's okay to look.
Yeah. Bo Easy, the Florida man. He's too drunk to go help, but he's out there directing traffic with a Bud Light in hand.
But he sets up like a lawn chair and he's just out there
of course.
drinking. Yeah, and like telling him what to do. Yeah, love it.
Lauren, the cave person, is using their cybernetic club to help build up stuff.
Well, yeah, she's like using it like a hammer, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's happening. Mr. Rage Bomb, he's just doing fireworks, but it's like not going good.
Oh no. Well, he's new at it.
Well-
he's been blowing up so long from like in his bomb form.
Yeah, and the other people are like, "What are you celebrating? Our civilization ending or whatever?"
Oh yeah. So some people took it badly, right?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying? Okay.
Vance, actually, he grows knives out of his skin now, so he actually takes a guy and kills him in the back very slowly. So, Veronica, the heavy metal bitch, is also picking in. She's helping, and she's like really sad. She's like, "How can someone do this?" And Andrew, the Russian astronaut, he's like, "Look, we can't stop. We have to get to the center of the galaxy to get the device to stop all this." And he's like, "But we'll help, I guess." And he's like, "None of this will matter if we can change time."
Wait, is that what happens when you get to the center of the galaxy? Is that
Well, that's what he thinks. We don't know yet. 'Cause I haven't decided.
He's got theories, but we don't know if it's true or not. I got you.
Yeah, and Anthony's like, "Shut up, man. We're gonna help people on our way because that's who we are as a people now."
That's what differentiates us from the bad guys.
Yeah, and Jennifer with a PH puts him in like a little force field because he's like really harsh in the vibe. And then Natasha and Karun, they come out and they're holding hands and they're like, "Look at all the damage the Muns have done. We shouldn't change time to wish that they never existed."
Wait, so like they're going to go back and they think it's like a genie that's going to grant a huge wish?
Who knows what's out there?
I don't. But that wish would be for them to just wipe out the Muns.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So cut back to the Munstar.
Right.
They're on a different populated planet and they're just blowing the shit out of it.
Right. This is like their next planet victim.
Yeah. Aaron the Moon General's like, "Status report, this civilization being bitches about being conquered."
They didn't want to submit to our will, so we're pulling a number 1 on them.
Yeah. Libby, who's just whipping the shit out of Wes, who's just greased up and naked.
Okay,
And he's
go
like,
on.
This
Yeah.
has been my whole storyline. I just got to escape. And they're like, "Shut up, whip, whip." And
I like that your whip sound effect is just you saying the word whip.
whip, whip. I'm like not 100% yet.
No,
so, like,
you're crushing it though, Mikey. You're giving it. I love it.
Alex, the magician, he appears on their planet service and he's like, "Look, I am the Darth Vader of this whole thing."
Oh, hell yeah.
And he's like, "But we're going to make your planet disappear if you don't bend our rule." And they're like, they're like stick bugs, but people.
Oh, okay. So like more evolved stick bugs. I got you. I love it. Yeah.
But they're like bigger. And they're like, "Oh, don't light us on fire." And so they're like, "Okay, we submit." And they're like, "Okay, get all your spaceships ready. We have to chase down this one ship." And that's how the episode ends.
Oh, damn. Okay. So I guess we'll have to wait till next week to find out what happens on another episode of The Patreonicals.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it oogie spooky.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Bye. I still don't really like Hellraiser, nerds.